Hey y'all, it's your girl Millie Chun. And Funky Dineva was on his live show, and this was Thursday, I believe, the 8th. And I think he has said his final words about the Armon, TGIF, Al, Claudia situation. But before we get into that, let's get into this. So up top, someone asked him, was he not going to address the leaked rant by Al? He said, I'm not. That stuff ain't my business no more. I'm done with it. Now, I feel like when we go through this video, I feel like this is it. And if you want to see that video in its entirety, it's on his YouTube channel, and I think it's dated for the 8th. Let's get into it. Now, one thing after listening to this, listening to him, Funky Dineva is 10 toes down on how he felt about Armon being immature. He mentioned it in the beginning of the video. He mentioned it at the end that these are still his sentiments. And it's very clear. He also talked about how he gave Armon everything he needed to be successful on the show. So the interview he had with Carlos did not change from when he was on his own channel live. And that's towards the beginning. But let's get into him talking about how Claudia, and I'm just going to say that because that's the only other person in this conversation, how she really wasn't here for Armon and him and Al were. Let's get into it.
You've got one person who has made it their life's mission to be in all the comments, responding to all the blogs, doing all the interviews, the first person to break the news that the show was canceled before the show was even officially canceled. The only person doing all the talking, you notice everybody else is quiet, and thus that's the person driving the narrative. You got swept up in some games that were being played before you entered the scene, and you made the choice to align yourself with the very side, and I'm going to reveal some stuff here. You chose to align yourself with the very person when you were auditioning who went to the execs and said, he does not like women. I feel threatened when working with this person. This person is not a good fit.
Of course, we can surmise that he's talking about Claudia, right? So after Armon had come out and told his side of the story, we found that he and Claudia are close because he even had Claudia up on his live to talk about everything in the interview and everything with Fox Soul, TGIF, and all of that. But from what Funky Dineva was saying here, in the beginning, Claudia wasn't feeling Armon. Now let's get into who really had Armon's back.
It was Al who stood up for you and said, you know what? I have to draw the line here. It's one thing if you don't want to work with him. That's one thing. It's another thing for you to ruin his name with the whole Fox organization. Okay? Once that was revealed to me, that is when I started working on your behalf in the background. That's when I began texting Joyce, saying, Joyce, y'all would be a doggone fool not to hire Armon. Y'all would be a fool. He's the only one that can do it. Then, if you notice, when I posted that post on my Instagram and I said, Armon did so good, y'all. It's nobody else that can take my spot except Armon. That was all intentional, Armon. That was all intentional. That was me and Al working in the background to get you the job because she was working so hard for you not to get it.
So it's clear Funky Dineva is standing on what he was saying, right? He and Al were working on Armon's behalf, and allegedly Claudia was working against Armon. But you did hear Claudia say on Armon's live that she really wasn't talking to him in the beginning. Now, I don't know why all that transpired, but it would seem like she didn't have Armon's back. Um, Funky went on to say that Armon called him and said that Claudia said, just because you have a YouTube channel and a following, that's not going to work over here. Meaning, because Funky had all of that, and when he left, he took that with him. So maybe Claudia allegedly was trying to get in Armand's head, right? He went on to say that Claudia was saying, you know, he does too much. He needs to dial it back. He talks too much and things like that. And Funky said that all he was doing, because he's been in that TGIF space, he was just trying to do Armand a service and not a disservice. Like, it's clear, but it's alleged because we were not there. Let's keep going.
Um, Somehow or another, you were able to get swept up in a game that was much bigger than you. And honestly and truthfully, I felt like I prepped you good enough for you not to have got swept up in that. And I think what I see in you is also what I see in a lot of younger gays, is that they cling to these women thinking that these women gonna take them somewhere. And honestly and truthfully, you got swept up in her game, and collectively that game caused that show to get canceled. Again, everybody wants me to speak on Al and condemn Al and all these different things. Listen, I am pretty sure that there is enough blame to go around. The stuff that is being said about Al, simply, I was not there. Okay? I wasn't there. I was not there.
Funky went on to say that when he was there, Al alone was not the problem. And I know a lot of people feel like because Al called him on that live and the tone of that call, maybe there were some things that Funky knew. But Funky Dineva is saying that he was not there. He was not aware. And when he was there, Al was not the problem. So let's get to the end of what I feel like is the end for me. He had some sentiments for Armand, and he is still 10 toes down. Let's go.
Nevertheless, Armand, as far as I'm concerned, I see you're hurt. I hate that you're hurt. If my words caused you any duress and or stress, I sincerely apologize. That was not my intent. I really was trying to big you up and give you a bit of constructive criticism on the side.